If you have not yet been able to figure out how to do your kingdom work, your calling, your God-given assignment, it is all your fault. But don't worry, that's actually really good news. So before you click off of this video, just because I said about the rudest thing that I could have said, let me explain what in the world I mean. My heart for you is that you would not only start doing your kingdom work, but that you would follow it through until completion, whatever that looks like for you. And if you are ready to take your kingdom work from just a side thought and turn it into assignment, and better yet, if you are ready to do more and get more done in that direction in the next 12 weeks than you have in the last 12 months, or possibly even the last 12 years, then download the Kingdom Calling Clarity Map, where I am going to help you do just that. Okay, what did I mean by that rudest of rude statements that I said at the beginning? When I say that if you haven't yet figured it out, it is like just a rude way to say that what I'm trying to get at is a brutal, honest look at how you are and have treated your ability to make choices in your life. And we're not looking at, I think sometimes when we, as Christians, we can like take on this wrong belief that we've missed it somehow, or that kind of like, if we were closer to God, if we were better at listening to him, if we were more spiritual or more faithful, then we would have heard that missing piece, or we would have like gotten something that we've just missed. And because we missed that hidden thing, then we've just like missed the boat and we're useless to God. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I believe that Jesus is extremely clear in his leadership. And even if you are someone who tends to miss even something that is like right in front of your face, he is a faithful leader. He knows you. He knows how to direct your steps. And so I'm not talking about like as if you've missed some hidden thing. I'm talking about the things like we want to look at not the things that you can't control, but what can you control? Because no one can change their life until they take full ownership of the things, when they stop complaining about the things that they have no ability to change, and they take full ownership of the things that they can control. And before I talk more about that, I just want to say that King David in the Bible, when he wanted to build, he was moved. God didn't tell him to build him a house. David was moved to build God a house, a place where Yahweh could dwell among his people. And so King David said, I want to build this. Nathan, I was going to say Nathaniel, I think it's Nathan the prophet, said, yes, that's good. Go ahead and do it. Then God tells Nathan, no, David's not going to build a house. His son Solomon is going to build my house. And David in that moment could have been offended and said, fine, if you're not going to tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it. Instead, what David did was that he did everything he could within his power to make sure that his son Solomon had all that he needed in order to build God's house well. So David, the one thing he couldn't do was build Yahweh's house, but he did everything he could around that. And that heart attitude is what we want to carry as followers of Jesus, that even if God says no, even if your life circumstances and everyone around you makes whatever God has called you to do, even if like everything is against you, work within and focus on what you can control. What can you do? So even if all the odds are against you, you still have something that you can work with. And if you set your heart posture, like I totally believe that what God is looking for, what moves him, is that heart posture to say, this little bit that I have, it's not much, but I've got this little bit, and I'm going to use that for your kingdom and for your glory and for the good of your people. And in our day-to-day life, one of the clearest examples that we can see this in, or at least that I've seen this in, is when it comes to money, right? Because when it comes to money, it's really easy. If you are a person who tends to, or maybe you used to be, maybe someone who's like this, but if you're someone who has a where you're focused on everything you can't control, you're going to be someone who says, well, when I get, if my boss would just give me that raise, if I could just get that perfect job, if I could just, buy the certain house, if I could just sell my house, if I could just, if something outside of my control or outside of the control over my circumstances could change, then I could have or do X, Y, Z. Then I would be financially free. And when you flip that and start to take ownership of your choices and of what you can control, you stop worrying about what you can't control. It's like, that would be great if those things would change, but we're going to assume that they're never going to change. And instead, if you turn your attention to what you can control, then you start looking at okay, how much money am I bringing in? What are the expenses that, like water, power, mortgage? What are those things that I can't, I have to budget those in? And then you're looking at, okay, well, how can I budget differently? Can I learn to enjoy things that are free, like going to the park versus things that I'm always having to pay for? Like, you start to think differently when you take ownership of what you can control and stop living as though you're always stuck. And I get it. Life is frustrating, but you have a lot that you can change. And when it comes to your kingdom work, it's that thing that as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, that you are called to do with your life or with the season of your life. It's like that thing that you can't let it go and you need to start acting on. And just a quick reminder, if you want to take that from that idea or from that thing that you keep on getting inspired to do, and you want to actually turn it and start treating it like a kingdom assignment, then download the Kingdom Calling Clarity Map, where I'm going to help you go from that idea stage to action stage and get something massive going in the next 12 weeks. Okay, but when we're talking about going from focusing on everything you can't control, like you can't control it, you might be so overwhelmed in your life and feeling like you're always busy with everyone else's chaos and everyone just comes to you for help or whatever it is, right? There's a million things that come our way to take us off track. And you can't make other people's lives calm down, but you can set boundaries around your own life so that other people's chaotic lives don't constantly have this open door into your life. You are allowed to do that. That is a choice for you that you can make. So when we're looking at your kingdom work, it looks like looking at and kind of just naming, what is it that I can't control and what can I control, and take ownership of what you can control. And sometimes that looks like taking ownership of and just acknowledging that for the last however many years or decades, you have not, you've had choices, but you haven't utilized them well. And you're frustrated at other people. And I'm saying this because this is a page from my own book, that I got so frustrated at other people, wishing that they would change in the ways that I wanted to create change in my life, because I felt like I couldn't, or I believed that I couldn't change until the group did, whatever that group looked like. And so I had to learn to realize that I can create the change I want to, even if nobody else does. And that doesn't make them a bad person. That just says I am free to follow the prompting of the Holy Spirit and where He's leading me without putting other people down. And I can succeed at this without putting other people down, and they can succeed at what they're doing, which is fantastic. We'll just do our thing and follow God. So let's drive this home. The goal is to just start that thing that God has called you to do. And the main thing that I want to really just take 2 minutes to tackle here is the idea. Sometimes when we're starting something, and you know what that is that you've been called to do, but when we're starting it, there's this idea that we have to give like 3 hours or 3 days or 3 weeks. So we've got to give like a ton of time to really kickstart this thing. And that's typically not how things successfully start. Whenever you are starting something new, and the thing about your kingdom work is that it's going to stretch you, it's going to push you, it's going to push your emotions and your beliefs. And if you haven't been able to do it yet, it's going to make you uncomfortable in those first few steps. And that is totally normal. It doesn't mean that you're off track. It just means that you need to be able to grow. And so what I want to say is that just give yourself 15 to 30 minutes each day or a couple days a week, whatever that looks like for you, but give yourself small pockets of time to do your kingdom work. And I know, like depending on what God has called you to do, it's going to be, it might, 15 to 30 minutes might not be what works, but as a rule of thumb, take small pockets of time consistently to get going, because 15 minutes of not busy work, but of actually 15 minutes to move the needle in the right direction is going to, it's going to be emotionally uncomfortable, as though you have worked like an 8-hour day working on this. At the start, those 15 minutes are very stretching. They're very uncomfortable. They're very key, but you don't need a lot to go a long way at the start. It's just like, okay, what is the smallest thing that you can do that you have been putting off that you need to do now? Then go and do that thing. And once you've done it, you're done for the day. And then the next day, you go and do 15 minutes and you keep on doing that. And what you'll find is that you're going to grow in skill, and you're going to grow just your emotional capacity, and your comfort with it is going to grow. And when that grows, then you can start to increase your time if you need to increase your time. But at the start, just give yourself small windows that consistently to keep on working at this, because like I said, 15 minutes is going to make you exhausted, and you're probably going to want to sleep for the next 3 hours, just because moving in the right direction with your kingdom work. This isn't like just making a grocery list and going and getting groceries, right? Where you've done it a million times. This is, even though you've wanted to do it for a long time, it's new and it's uncomfortable and it's scary. And it might make us feel like we're going against the grain of society or of our church group or of who we were growing up or who we've been and who people have known us to be. And that is all uncomfortable. Okay, that is enough said. But lastly, I'm just gonna say again, if you want help with this, then download the Kingdom Calling Clarity Map and I will see you over there. If you have not yet been able to figure out how to do your kingdom work, it's all your fault. I can't even say that with a straight face.